All right, buckle up. Tonight's bedtime story is about the moment when cocaine stopped being a drug and became a religion. And the prophets, they were pilots, smugglers, and absolute lunatics, flying tiny planes loaded with millions of dollars through the night sky. Colombia, 1975. The cocaine business is exploding. We're not talking small time anymore. We're talking industrial scale. Tons of product. Billions of dollars waiting to be made. But there's one massive problem. How do you move literal tons of cocaine from the jungles of Colombia to the noses of Manhattan, Miami, and Los Angeles? The answer: you fly. Small planes. CESSNAS. Twin-engine Pipers. Aircraft held together with duct tape and prayers. Pilots who were either the bravest people on Earth or the craziest. Honestly, probably both. And routes that turned the Caribbean into the world's most profitable highway for white powder. This is the story of the smugglers' gold rush. When cocaine became so valuable that people were willing to risk their lives every single night just to move it. When a single successful flight could make you a millionaire. When the sky above Colombia turned into a lawless frontier where fortunes were made and lives were lost at 10,000 feet. By the end of 1975, the smuggling routes were printing money so fast that cartels couldn't count it quickly enough. Pablo Escobar would later admit he lost approximately $2.1 billion because rats ate the cash stacked in warehouses. Not stolen, eaten by rats. That's how much money was flowing. So how do you build an aerial empire? How do you turn small planes into money-printing machines? And what happens when every pilot, smuggler, and wannabe kingpin realizes the sky is literally the limit? Let's talk about the moment cocaine took flight. And trust me, this is where things get wild. By 1975, Colombian cartels had a beautiful problem. They could produce more cocaine than they could smuggle. The labs were pumping out product 24/7. The chemists had perfected their processes. The coca leaves were flowing in from Peru and Bolivia. American demand was through the roof. Disco, Wall Street, Hollywood. Everyone wanted that white powder. The money was there. The supply was there. But getting the two together, that was the bottleneck. Early smuggling methods were, let's call them amateur hour. People were stuffing cocaine into suitcases, and hopping customs agents didn't notice. They were hiding it in hollowed-out furniture, false bottom luggage, even inside religious statues. One guy tried to smuggle 50 kilos in a coffin with a fake body. Spoiler: customs agents are suspicious of coffins. The problem with these methods: they were slow, risky, and couldn't handle volume. You could move maybe 10, 20 kilos at a time if you were lucky. But the cartels needed to move hundreds, thousands. They needed something faster, bigger, harder to catch. And then someone looked up at the sky and had an idea. Small planes. Colombia has thousands of rural airstrips, jungle landing zones, makeshift runways carved out of farmland, and the Caribbean between Colombia and Florida. It's massive, mostly empty, and impossible to patrol completely. If you flew low enough, fast enough, at night, the chances of getting caught were surprisingly low. The cartels started recruiting pilots. And not just any pilots. They needed people who were part daredevil, part criminal, and 100% willing to risk federal prison or death for a massive payday. They found them everywhere. Ex-military pilots who missed the adrenaline. Commercial pilots who were bored and broke. Adventure junkies who'd do anything for the thrill. Drug addicts who needed the money. The cartels didn't care about your background. They cared if you could fly low, land on dirt strips in the dark, and not panic when things went wrong. And things went wrong constantly. But here's the thing about the smugglers' gold rush. The money was so insane that people kept coming. A single successful flight could pay $50,000 to $100,000. That's 1975 money, equivalent to $500,000 today. One flight, one night, life-changing money. So pilots lined up. Smugglers got creative, and the routes exploded. Let me paint you a picture of what a typical smuggling flight looked like in 1975. It's 2 a.m. You're in the Colombian jungle at a dirt airstrip that didn't exist on any map yesterday and won't exist tomorrow. A Cessna 206, designed to carry maybe 1,000 pounds, is being loaded with 500 kilos of cocaine. That's over 1,100 pounds. The plane shouldn't even take off with that weight. But nobody cares, because that load is worth $5 million wholesale in Miami. You taxi down a strip lit by truck headlights and burning barrels. You're overloaded, the runway is too short, and there's a good chance you'll crash into the trees at the end. But you floor it anyway, because the alternative is staying poor, and poor is not an option anymore. You make it into the air barely. The plane is shaking. Every instrument is screaming that you're overloaded. You fly low like 200 feet above the ocean low to avoid radar. It's pitch black. You're navigating by stars and compass because GPS doesn't exist yet. One mistake and you're swimming with the sharks. Literally. 4 hours later, you're approaching Florida. You've been in radio silence the whole time. You're looking for a secluded beach, a rural airstrip, anywhere you can land without the DEA showing up. You spot your landing zone, maybe a dirt road, maybe a cleared field. You drop in, cut the engines, and within 5 minutes, a team is unloading your plane. They hand you a duffel bag with $100,000 cash. You refuel, take off, and fly back to Colombia before sunrise. Total time, 8 hours. Total profit, more money than your father made in a decade. And here's the beautiful part. There were hundreds of these flights happening every month. The cartels established networks. They'd have multiple planes in rotation. They'd bribe officials at small airports. They'd create decoy flights to distract law enforcement. They'd drop loads in the ocean for speedboats to retrieve. They'd land on highways in the middle of nowhere. One of the most famous routes was called the trampoline. Planes would fly from Colombia to tiny islands in the Bahamas, places with one landing strip, one bar, and a lot of people willing to look the other way for cash. The cocaine would get stored there. Then smaller planes would island hop to Florida. Harder to track, easier to hide. Norman's Key became legendary. A tiny Bahamian island that Carlos Lehder, one of the Medellín Cartel's key players, basically bought. He set up a refueling station, a warehouse, and turned the whole island into a cocaine hub. For years, planes would land there, refuel, reload, and continue to the US the Bahamian government knew. American authorities knew. But stopping it, nearly impossible when everyone's getting paid to look away. The money corrupted everything. Airport officials, Coast Guard officers, local police, even some DEA agents. Because when a pilot can hand you $20,000 just to not report a suspicious plane, and your annual salary is $15,000, a lot of people took the money, and the pilots, they became legends, rock stars of the underworld. They'd show up at bars in Miami with suitcases full of cash, buying drinks for everyone, telling stories about flying through hurricanes and dodging Coast Guard helicopters. Some of them died, crashed into the ocean, got arrested, got killed by cartels for losing loads. But the ones who survived, they lived like kings, because this was the gold rush, and the gold was white. Let me tell you about one flight that perfectly captures the insanity of 1975. A pilot, let's call him Mike, because his real identity is still murky, gets hired for what should be a routine run. Colombia to a private airstrip in Georgia. Easy money. He's done it a dozen times. He loads up his Cessna with 400 kilos, takes off from a jungle strip without any problems. Everything's smooth. He's flying low over the Caribbean. Navigation is good. Weather's clear. He's thinking about what he's going to buy with his $75,000 payday. Maybe a boat. Maybe a Corvette. Definitely a lot of cocaine for personal use, because, not going to lie, most of these pilots were high during flights. Then, about an hour from the Florida coast, his engine starts making a sound. Not a good sound. A "you're about to fall out of the sky" sound. He's too far from Colombia to turn back. Too far from land to crash safely. And he's carrying 400 kilos of cocaine and $50,000 in cash as a down payment. If he ditches the plane in the ocean, he's dead, either from drowning or from the cartel killing him for losing their product. So he does something absolutely insane. He dumps half the cocaine overboard to reduce weight, just opens the door and starts throwing bricks of coke into the ocean. $2 million worth of product gone. Fish are about to have a very weird week. The engine stabilizes. He keeps flying, makes it to Georgia on fumes and prayers, lands at the private strip. The cartel's people are waiting. They count the load, 200 kilos instead of 400. Mike explains what happened, shows them the money he still has, swears on his life it was an emergency. They could kill him right there. It's happened to other pilots for less, but they don't. Because Mike did something that saved his life. He saved half the load. He didn't dump everything and run. He made the hard call and brought back what he could. They pay him $40,000 instead of $75,000. He's alive, and he keeps flying for them for 3 more years until he gets arrested in a DEA sting in 1978. That's the smugglers' gold rush. High stakes, insane risks, and money so good that people kept rolling the dice, even when they knew the house always wins eventually. By the end of 1975, the aerial routes were established. Colombia to the Bahamas, Bahamas to Florida, direct flights to rural Georgia, Louisiana, Texas. The sky had become a highway for cocaine, and business was booming. Pablo Escobar was watching all of this, learning, taking notes. He wasn't flying the planes himself. He was smarter than that. He was building relationships with pilots, establishing routes, setting up distribution networks in Miami. By 1975, he was already moving significant weight, and the money was starting to pile up. But the smugglers' gold rush created a problem. Success attracts attention. The DEA was noticing. The Coast Guard was noticing. American politicians were starting to panic about the cocaine flooding into their cities. And when the law starts paying attention, the game changes. The pilots who got rich in 75 and 76, most of them were dead or in prison by 1980. The routes that seemed untouchable, the DEA learned them, mapped them, shut them down one by one. Norman's Key eventually got raided. The Bahamas cracked down under US pressure. But here's the thing, you can't stop economics. As long as Americans wanted cocaine and Colombians could produce it, someone would find a way to connect them. When the air routes got dangerous, they switched to speedboats. When speedboats got caught, they used submarines. When submarines were too risky, they went back to airplanes with better technology. The smugglers' gold rush of 1975 proved something the cartels would never forget. There's always a way. The sky, the sea, the land, they're just different highways for the same product. And when billions of dollars are on the line, someone will always be willing to take the risk. Pablo Escobar learned that lesson well. And in the next few years, he'd use those aerial routes to build an empire worth $30 billion. But that's a story for the next episodes. Sweet dreams. And if you hear a small plane flying low over your house at 2 a.m., well, it's probably just a coincidence. Probably.